Israel, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, the Bwana, to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, and SHALAWAM to elect out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. I want to get into a title, a brief topic entitled R.C.M, ruling class mentality, reason, and logic. And I basically want to get into how do we get to a point of having a ruling class mentality, and that's through reason and logic. Now, the average person would think that reason and logic is of the world, is of Esau's philosophy, but reason and logic is nothing more than common sense. Honestly, it's nothing more than common sense and uh, you know judging and seeing things in its right perspective. That's all it is. And we know that common sense is of the scriptures because the scriptures are simple. Okay? The scriptures are simple, it's plain to the point, you know, and you deal with it through reasoning, through using your discernment, so on and so forth, through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. All right, so I want to get into this and you know, just give some facts on how do we get to a point of having that ruling class mentality. And you know, and first and foremost, we also have to recognize too that a ruling class mentality is not just that of, you know, wanting riches and slaves and this is that and the third. That's not how we get to that point, and that's not um, the essence of a ruling class mentality. It has to start somewhere, and this is where it starts, dealing with reason and logic through the scriptures. All right, so I'm gonna start off with this word here. Now, matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna start off with this precept. All right, so this is so this is the book of Sirach 3:24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Okay, and this is true with a lot of issues and things that happen in the world today, and especially with our people. It's because of people's own vain opinions and their own emotions that overthrows their judgment, their discernment, the way they think and reason in their mind. You know, and the rapper Jadakiss dropped a heavy line uh, in a rap recently, and he said, "Your emotions supersede your intelligence." And we know in this truth, we can't allow that to happen. Our emotions can't supersede our intelligence, man. You know, we can't let our emotions, uh, overthrow, what's right in the eyes of the Lord. Because the Lord said what in the book of Isaiah 55:11, it says, oh, my bad, not 55:11. So, yeah, Isaiah 55:7. Well, I start at verse 6. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. So we had to forsake our thoughts. We had to forsake our vain opinions, and let him return unto the Lord, because that's where our thoughts, our mind, and the way we reason, our logic, all of that is supposed to rest with the Lord. And he will have mercy upon him and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So if we go according to our thoughts and our own vain opinions, then this whole world is doomed. And look at it now; it is doomed. It is doomed, and that's exactly why our people are so messed up. You see, different talks. A simple barbershop talk can turn into a fight or a nigga getting shot down based off of emotions, or talking about a basketball game, or talking about Rick Ross and 50 Cent, or who got the most money. All based off of emotions. You know, simple things like that, or simple arguments. That shouldn't even be come to a negative standpoint where people would tend to want to get carnal based off of their emotions, and they don't know any other way to act. And that's ridiculous, man. And that's ridiculous. But that's the nature of our people today. you know so uh real quick, I want to go into the word reason. It's a bunch of crap up here. Skip down to the point. It says, from Latin rationem, nominative ratio, reckoning, understanding, motive, cause. From ratus, past participle of rari, to reckon, think. Okay, to reason, to count. You know, what does the scripture say about us? What? Counting the cost. We have to count the cost. So us counting the cost, what we're reckoning, we're thinking, we're trying to get the understanding as best as possible until, you know, what is going to be required of us, you know, to endure to the end, you know, to stay fervent in the spirit, to do what we got to do for YAHAWASHI, knowing the things of the world that we're going to have to put aside, you know, knowing the goods and the evils of all things, you know, all this is a part of counting the cost. You know, us examine ourselves. All this is a part of counting the cost. We do all this through what? Reasoning. Reasoning is nothing more than thinking, and having the right judgment of mind, a sound mind. You know, and real quick, just hit Wikipedia real quick, and it says, reason is the capacity for consciously making sense of things. Okay, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be making sense of things. You know, they have a saying that says, common sense ain't common. And in this world, today's world, it's not. But amongst us brothers in this truth of YAHAWASHI, we are the only ones that truly think logically. We are the only ones that uh, that have, you know, a sense of reality about ourselves, because we know all things through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. Okay, so it says, reason is the capacity for consciously making sense of things, establishing and verifying facts. Okay, establishing and verifying facts. That's the point of, you know, the definition and what I wanted to get. You know, establishing and verifying facts. You weighing options out within your head, and you're separating, you know, truth from the lies. You're separating fact from emotion. This is the point of how we get to a ruling class mentality, or one of the key steps to get into that. And this is one of the big basics within this truth, you know, because what does the scripture say as far as us telling the truth to people? This is Galatians 4:16. It says, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? So, you know, a person may think that, you know, you saying this about them, oh, that's just your opinion. That's just your opinion. But if 20 people done told you the same thing about yourself, that's not an opinion. That's fact. And that's something, whatever it may be, that you may need to work on. But people, you know, won't know how to separate that, because especially when you're dealing with family members or somebody that's closer to you, they won't know how to deal with that because they're so close to you. So they're just taking it some type of way. Oh, you don't like me or something like that. Nah, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Why? Because I love you. This is the same thing we do with 2/3 out there. We're actually showing love. We're not showing hate. People think we show hate. We show a lot of love out there on the streets, man. You know, out there in the highways and byways, you know. So it's through reason and logic that we separate fact from fiction, truths from falsehoods, so on and so forth, man. You know. So reason is nothing more than you know, coming up with uh, a better way of understanding situations. Okay, so it says logic, branch of philosophy that treats a form of thinking. Now this is Esau's way to how he gets into it, and we know through newspeak and different things, words and the definitions of words always change. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the point. It says logical, pertaining to speaking or reasoning, also of or pertaining to speech, from logos, reason, idea, word, see logos. So the essence of the word, logic comes from the word logos, which means the word or word. Okay, so if if we have reason and logic, we're going to know how to think and apply, you know, our thoughts and understanding through the word, which is the word of YAHAWASHI. That's what reason and logic deals with, man. That's what reason and logic deals with. Okay, I go back to the definition of this real quick. Um, Reason is the capacity of constantly making sense of things. So what? We make sense of things through logic. We make sense of things through the word of the Lord. That's what reason and logic is. Making sense of things through the word. Okay? So real quick, this is the book of Proverbs 16:1. The preparations of the heart and man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. So the Lord is preparing our thoughts to think, to reason. Okay, the Lord's preparing our minds to reason, to stir up those righteous thoughts within us and to get us right. And the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So all our reasoning and the way our mind is, we know according to what Jeremiah 17:9, that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So what? Our thoughts and our mind and the way we think, the way we process information has to be prepared by the Lord. And if we commit ourselves unto the Lord, our thoughts shall be established. So when we go forth to speak, we're going to come off in a right and exact manner, man. Okay? So once again, we make sense of things through the word of YAHAWASHI. Okay? That's how all things happen. All right? So going into the next precept real quick. This is Malachi 3:18. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth the Most High and him that serveth him not. So the key point here is what? Discerning between righteous and wicked. Going back into the essence of reason, okay? Being able to consciously make sense of things. Filtering, having that spiritual filter. That's what discernment is, having that spiritual filter. All right? So going into the word discern here, is the word is ra'ah, which means what? To see, look at, inspect, perceive, consider. So reasoning, you're going to consider different options. You're going to consider different matters. To look, see, regard, look after, see after, learn about, observe. And that's very important. Observation is very important. When you go through the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon, he was doing what? Observational science through the wisdom that he obtained from YAHAWASHI. That's why you say he tried wisdom, he tried madness, he tried folly. He dived, into the minds of a person that was mad, a person that was crazy, a person that was this, and try to look at things through their lens, through their eyes. That's observational science. I'm looking at the birds and the different animals and the different flowers and stuff like that, how they grew and how they toss, so on and so forth. It's observational science. And that's all through the Lord. So these different things, when you hear people talking about reason and logic, it's nothing more than making sense of things through the word of the Lord, man. Esau tries to take it and turn it into this whole big philosophy of his and, give these different points and different things like that to use it in the form of wickedness, But why would they use the word logic, when the essence of the word logic comes from the Greek word logos, which means the word, and that's used here in the scriptures. So Esau knows that you have to reason and that you have to consider things through the word of the Lord, because that's what they base everything off of, but turn it in the opposite form, So I wanted to get the book of Sirach 37 real quick. This is the book of Sirach 37, and I start at verse 15. And above all this, pray to the Most High, that he will direct thy way in truth. Okay, that he will direct their way, that he will direct your thoughts, the way you process information, the way you speak, That's what we have to pray for first and foremost. That the Most High give us, the manner of tongue to be able to speak in a proper manner and to be able to get our words across in the right fashion. In this verse 16, it says, let reason go before every enterprise and counsel before every action. Okay, so that's what counsel is, what? Seeking advice. As it said in verse 15, you pray unto the Lord. You seek advice from the Lord first and foremost, and then secondarily, you may ask a brother, or so on and so forth. It said, what? Let reason go before every enterprise. So before every endeavor, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to reason. You're supposed to consciously make sense of things and establishing and verifying facts. That's what the essence of reasoning is. So establishing facts, and different things about things, depending on what situation you're dealing with, you want to come up with the most, what's the word I'm looking for? You want to come up with the best options, for you to go about with that situation. And then you pray unto the Lord, and then you make your decision based off of reasoning, based off of making sense of things, because as I said, most of the world, they just go off of pure emotions. That's why all of our actions, as a people in general, are typically wrong, and people can't see themselves, for being the emotional person that they are, and they can't see their faults, they can't see their wrongs because they're so focused on the emotions, and they can't take that conscious so-called conscious look at themselves, and that just brings me to just examining ourselves. And I'll just bring out this precept lastly. So this is how we get to the essence of having that ruling class mentality, by being able to separate truths from falsehoods, being able to separate our emotions from what's truth, and constantly examining ourselves, because as Apostle Gabar always gets into, we are our own worst enemies, so through reason, through making common sense of things, through the word of the Lord, that's how we do so, and through doing that, a lot of your situations on a daily could be better, your relationships could be better, and how you deal with things at work, overall everything could be better because you're putting things in a better perspective, when nobody else can see it, So this is the book of 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that YAHAWASHI is in you, except ye be reprobates. And we know reprobates means what? Void of judgment. Okay, so we can't be void of judgment in ourselves. We judge all matters, small and great, every single day, and everyone does. But we would be hypocrites if we would be void in judgment with ourselves, but yet be judging all other things on a constant basis. That's why it's so important to examine ourselves and to be able to come to that state of a ruling class mentality. And that starts with you, the way you think, the way you process information, and how you deal with yourself, first and foremost before anything. So, this the essence of the lesson of what I wanted to get into, R.C.M, reason and logic. So basically getting into it, reason and logic is consciously making sense of things through the word, or through the word of YAHAWASHI, and allowing the Lord to take over your thoughts, take over your mind, and you submitting yourself into his will, and through that, everything just flows, through the time and through the experience, you'll gain more understanding on that. And, we do that on a daily, man, and as we grow, this truth gets more burdensome, it gets more heavy, because we come to heavier realizations of things in the spirit, in this world, and everything that's within it, So with that, I hope this segment was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the elect out there, doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. Shalawam.